Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending where you are. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Uncovering Hidden Healing. So, I'm your host, Arletha Lizana, and we're diving into a topic today that's not only delicious, but also deeply rooted in ancient wisdom: cacao, ancestral chocolate for mind, body, and spirit. Cacao, often referred to as the food of the gods, has been revered for centuries in many cultures, particularly in Mesoamerica, where it was used not only as food, but also as sacred medicine. Today, we're going to explore how this powerful plant can support our mental, emotional, and spiritual well being. We're honored to be joined by Brenden Durell, a former professional athlete turned CEO of Unknown Intimacy. Brenden is an intimacy expert with a deep focus on mental, emotional, and spiritual health. He is also passionate about the history and benefits of cacao, and his work is helping to raise awareness about its role in the chocolate industry and its impact when consumed with integrity. So grab your favorite drink, perhaps even some cacao if you have it, and settle in for a conversation that promises to nourish your mind, body, and spirit. So let's uncover the hidden healing potential of ancestral chocolate together. So, Brenden, welcome so much to Uncovering Hidden Healing. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. So, before we decide to just, kind of have our conversation, into the wonders of cacao, could you please introduce yourself to our audience and share a bit about your journey from professional athlete to intimacy expert and cacao advocate?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Arletha. I'm so excited for this. I when you said it was only an hour, I was disappointed because I need like 10 hours to talk about
Right,
cacao.
right.
Yeah, this is so special and beautiful, and nothing better than to talk about the magic of cacao on this beautiful Sunday. My name is Brendan Durell Davis. I originally hail from New Jersey, and I was raised between New Jersey and New York.
Yeah.
Jersey, stand up. Um, I from the concrete jungle. Now I live right next to the world's largest jungle in the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador. And my life has taken so many paths, so many paths. I grew up with a background. My mother's from Puerto Rico, and my father is African American. So just very diverse, rich background and cultures and foods and all the things. And like many kids from Jersey, New York, I was really sports was my thing. That was
Yeah.
my path. I'm from a basketball family, but I chose to play baseball. That was like my vehicle in this life that God, universe chose for me. And with that sport leading me, it was my whole life up until I would say the end of my 20s. I played professional, I played university level ball, I traveled around the world. I've been close to 60 countries, and baseball was the reason why it started me on that explorer traveling bug in my body, which exposed me to different healings and different modalities around the world. Currently, my focus, as Arletha shared, I focus in intimacy. And some of you listening may be like, intimacy, like romance? And it's like, kind of, but romance, intimacy with life. That is my jam. That's my thing. Anything that we can do, whether it's traditional medicines that can bring us closer to ourselves, that is the truest intimacy in
That's
here, inner work. So when we talk about intimacy, when I talk about intimacy, it's about all things encompassing that just expand our hearts, expands our minds, and makes our body healthier.
right.
So that's what I'm focusing on now. And also, I do as well do some relationship and sacred sexuality work. I am currently a recurring role in a popular Netflix show called Too Hot to Handle,
Yeah.
reality show, and they bring me on to essentially help really horny, young, beautiful people stay in line. And that's my role.
No, no, I love
So,
that.
that's my line. So that's one of the projects that I'm working on. And then specifically for today, my passion project, my legacy work is cacao. And I'm so excited to share about that today.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Wow. So that's a lot. So fellow Jerseyite as well. So, that's really just so just awesome, and just your traveling stories. And I'm sure, like you said, as traveling is really, healing and just learning. So I'm sure all of those things are like encompassed, in your work that you do. So let's talk about cacao. It has a long and sacred history. And so, talk about, just like it's associated with chocolate, but even the uses go beyond that. So tell us about the physical, mental, and spiritual benefits of consuming cacao, especially when done with intention and integrity.
Yeah. So first and foremost, when I had this opportunity to speak with this, I had a little bit of apprehension at first, because when I was thinking about the bridge between Latin America and West Africa and Africa in general, I was like, how can I bridge this? Because traditionally, cocoa hasn't been used in the diaspora, in the African diaspora. So I was like, what's my role in raising awareness about this? Because even though traditionally it hasn't been used in the way that indigenous in Latin America and South America have used it, due to colonialism, the seed was brought to West Africa. And at present day, over 70% of the world's chocolate, cocoa, comes from West Africa, from Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Nigeria, all these places. It's cultivated there. And just to rewind a little bit, it was first discovered in this region that I'm currently living in, Cacao, Theobroma. There's archaeologists discovered clay pots that had this compound called anandamide in it, which scientists call the bliss molecule. It's what makes cacao, what makes chocolate make you feel happy and joyful. They found traces of that in clay pots that date between 3,000 and 4,000 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this region, and it's spread, and it loves growing on the equator, hence why it also loves growing in West Africa. But of course, with the colonization of the world and this region, when the Spanish, the Portuguese came over down here, they saw the value that different cultural communities use cacao as, and specifically the Olmec, the Mayans, the Aztecs, and so on, and also the ones that didn't make the books. They used the cacao seeds. The bean was revered as high as gold. It was a currency. It was something that they used to trade within communities with each other. So there's actual journal entries of Christopher Columbus's son, who was while during their conquisition, where he was journaling about seeing indigenous men holding these almond-shaped seeds, which actually happen to have some here. Okay. These almond-shaped seeds, and they thought they were just almonds, but they weren't. So the usage of it started here. So of course, when they saw how much value it had, the colonizers, they were like, we need to put this into industrialization. We need more. We want to bring this back to Europe. So of course, naturally, how the story goes, monoculturing begins, a lot of pressure with the diseases and everything that was already killing the indigenous in this area from those regions. They were like, we need more of this cacao, more of this cacao. They brought it back to Spain. There's even records of when they brought this to people in Spain. When they first tasted it, they were like, this is not even fit for a pig. They said, this is disgusting. This is horrible. This is tasteless. They're like, oh. So I wish at that point I was alive. So I'd be like, well, F it. You ain't got to have it there.
Right. Leave it alone. Right. Leave it there. Right.
So, of course, they started putting sugar and putting milk into this and making it taste better. So then when it became a super commodity, pressure started in this region more of putting pressure on the indigenous to produce more and more. So with diseases, they couldn't culture the cacao the way that they wanted to. So what did they do? They took the seed. It's cheaper. Instead of bringing slaves here, let's send the seed in the tree and cultivate it in West Africa where they already are. It's going to save us some money. That's essentially was the mindset of how they were doing this. So that's how present day we have all of these cacao trees in West Africa, because they sent it out. And it said that it was a Portuguese man when he was in Brazil. He sent it out to Equatorial Guinea first to send it out there and to see how it will take. And it took well, obviously, then it spread. So that in a nutshell is just a little bit about how it came from this region to West Africa. And a big part of my work now is bridging South America with Africa, because together, one, we're stronger anyway. Like we're cousins, we cousins. Like why is there a separation in it? We're cousins.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop right there for now, but that is a little bit how cacao got into West Africa.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's a lot. I didn't know any of that history. I just know, like, when I visit West Africa and visit, Central and South America, it's there. And, it's a part, especially in Central and South America, like a part of like the tourism industry as well. So, I didn't know that connection. So thank you for that. So like what kind of led you to become an advocate for cacao? You talked about some of it. So like, in terms of like, how do you incorporate its benefits into your work? So mental, emotional, spiritual health, like how do you, what are some of the aspects of cacao that, fit into like your work and what you do and just health in general?
Yeah. So spiritually, I'll say first, cacao's played a huge part of my life. I was doing my travel thing and I landed in Guatemala through pure synchronicity, pure spirit-led nature. And before that, I was in Toronto, and I went to this event, this sound healing event and meditation event. And the leader of this event served this cup of black stuff that tasted so bitter. And I was just like, what is this? And then I proceeded to have one of the most profound journeys of my life with sound healing. And 2 days later, I was in Guatemala, and the leader of this experience was like, hey, remember that drink that I gave you and you had before? That was pure chocolate, and you're in the region of it right now. I know a man. He said, I know a man. And I was like, oh, you got a plug. He sent me to the plug. Right. So I went to the plug, and I met this man who had this same cacao that I drank. And I was like, wow, this is one of those spirit-led moments. So that led me. I stayed in Guatemala for about 1.5 years, and I was so blessed. I started learning how to work with cacao from the Highland Mayans, and people think Mayans died off. They didn't die off, just like Taínos didn't die off. Like Mayans are still alive today, and they live in the highlands in Guatemala. And some profound maestras, teachers, taitas taught me how to work with cacao spiritually, because the Mayans traditionally work with cacao with their fire ceremonies. They make these intricate, beautiful ofrendas, these shrines of flowers and different things, and then they sip a little bit of cacao as part of the ceremony, not as a center part, but as part of the ceremony. And with my work in cacao is such a heart expander. And when I say heart expander, I mean esoterically. Yeah. Also a little bit physically too, which we'll get into the physical benefits, but esoterically, it's a heart expander. It's the compound in cacao, as I mentioned, the anandamide. It's what everybody associates chocolate with. When people say, oh, chocolate, it's an aphrodisiac. It's aphrodisiac. That's why around Valentine's Day, there's a bunch of chocolates and stuff. Even though, side note, reason why people get high of chocolate nowadays from the stores is because of the sugar. It's not even the real stuff. Right. But traditionally, it's because of the aphrodisiac compound that's in cacao. So anytime we put ourselves in a aphrodisiac state, it's our brain, our frontal lobe, our heart, everything is expanding. More blood is being pushed to our mind, to our heart. So we're feeling more oxygenated. So with that comes with a feeling of nirvana, a feeling of bliss in our body. This is why the compound is called anandamide, ananda, like the nirvanic compound of it. So anytime that I pair drinking a cup of cacao spiritually, it always has this beautiful effect on people that relaxes them. And it's very subtle. Cacao is not a psychedelic, so don't be out there being like, oh, I'm going to see stuff in the world. It's not like ayahuasca. Which we can talk a little about that later, because I've said a lot of ayahuasca. But cacao, it's not a psychedelic, but it is a psychoactive. It does induce that pleasurable state within our bodies. So I've really seen how cacao really pairs well with ancestral healing, ancestral veneration. Even within me working with Ifa and divination, even at the culmination of different things, I'll have a nice cup of cacao because it feels like this beautiful point at the end where it's like, okay, I feel really good. My mind, my body, my heart is settled. It's really settled in. So I see the benefits with spiritually. It's just, it allows people to access parts of their heart that may be hiding. It might be scary to go in there. And it's not going to be like psilocybin. It's not going to be like ketamine. It's not going to be like ayahuasca, where it's like you drink it and it's like, boom. It's like that. It's really subtle spiritually.
Right. Yeah. So that's great. Yeah. I've always heard it being referred to as the heart opening medicine. So now I kind of like understand, how that supports like emotional and spiritual healing, as you spoke about, also like just working with ancestors. So, that's awesome. Well, let's dive a little bit deeper into your work in unknown intimacy. So how do you integrate cacao into your practices of sacred sexuality, somatic healing, and other disciplines? So, and then what impact have you seen in the lives of the people you work with?
Yeah. So with cacao, I always pair it with somatic healing. And even if, let's say we're in a space of something traumatic happened to person A, to Charlie. Charlie was a little boy. Let's say Charlie, after that traumatic experience happened, let's say it was a molestation. By the time Charlie's teenager, he's in his early 20s, he's been through therapy, he's been through a lot of healing. Up here, he's really strong. Like his mind is really fortified. Like he's healed it, he's moved on, he's forgiven everything. But there's still times when Charlie might get flashes in his body of remembrance of like, oof, like what is that? Like his wife might be rubbing his back and he just kind of flinches a little bit and he gets a sensory thing. Like, what is that? And it's like, Charlie knows everything is safe. So why is Charlie feeling like this? And my work is predicated on evoking all the senses so that we can heal somatically, so that our body, our physical body, all of our cells can catch up to our brain, because our brain is way faster than our body.
Yes.
Way faster. Yeah. So I use that aspect with cacao because it's very subtle, it's really gentle, and it helps open us up without any kind of feeling of a breach in our nervous system. So I've seen really, really profound experiences with it. I have people drink cacao before I lead them through breath work, before meditation, and just the way that it allows them to drop in deeper without anything major. It's been profound.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, this sounds just like awesome. So I don't think a lot of people know. They may have heard of cacao, but they really don't know, and, maybe know about some of its physical health aspects, really don't know about the emotional and the spiritual aspects. So, I mean, that's awesome. So you started to talk about it, maybe go into a little bit of the physical, health benefits as well. Yeah. And then also I'll just add this, like in terms of like drinking cacao, it could be like deeply personal and spiritual, but like, how do you recommend preparing it to get like, how should people prepare it? So talk about the physical health aspects and then like, how do you do it?
Yeah, we'll get into that, preparing it too, because I laid out the spiritual aspects why I use it. And also don't think that it's something that has to have a bunch of bells and whistles where it's like, in order for me to drink it, I have to do A, B, C, A through Z. It is not like that. You can simply have it, warm some water up, drink it, and be with it. It's very simple. That's why I love it as a daily/weekly practice. The physical attributes, like cocoa is a superfood. This is also why we've seen a boom with cocoa powder and cacao nibs and all the stuff in our culture, our Western society. It's huge. It's so rich in minerals, magnesium, iron, calcium, potassium. Like it has everything that it needs. And one of the biggest benefits that they're doing so many studies on is in the antioxidants. It's high in flavonoids. Flavonoids is huge. So flavonoids, is, in a nutshell, it reduces inflammation. It helps oxidize stress. So if your body's going through a lot of cortisol because you are stressed, cacao helps that as well. It helps ease that through the oxygenation. Has a lot of fats, a lot of fiber. Mood enhancement. It has like the theobromine, which is amazing for mood enhancement. It's like natural antidepressants that's inside of it. It really is. I used to also drink cacao before workouts because it improves the blood flow. It's a vasodilator. It helps lower blood pressure. It helps cardiac risk. My father, he's had several heart procedures, and he has a huge stash of cacao in his house that he wasn't using, even though for years I was like, Pops, I'm hooking you up, best of the best. Right. He's like, yeah, whatever. The moment his doctor says something about cacao, he was like, oh, okay, I'm going to start using it.
Right, it's in the house.
It's in the house. He got stashes.
All right.
It's been helping him. It's been helping him with everything. Brain health, like cognitive function, physically when you drink it, like the mental clarity and the energy boost. It's way different than caffeine. Caffeine, I love coffee too at times in specific situations. But as far as a daily practice, the energy from cacao, it rises you up and then it levels you out. And there's no crash down like there is with coffee. Spike. And that way there's no jitterness. And you can attest to this a little bit too, like from your experience, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So I had a dream. So if you know, we're here on Hidden Healing. So I have a dream. I dream a lot. So the dream, I was having some digestive issues, and the dream was like drink cacao. And I just didn't like, I have a whole bunch of it in the house, like duh. It was like one of those moments, but it really helped, with those digestion issues. So, like you said, it's like, it's there, and you're like, oh, I could use that. So, I think it's also very accessible, I would say that, and easy to use, like you said. So like, in terms of like what challenges have you faced in promoting the benefits of cacao?
What's interesting, it's like cacao is my passion project. It's my legacy work. So I actually haven't done much promoting in the realms of like I share it with all the people that I love and I care about. So it's like you got it through an extension of family, because it's like with your family, like I was like, here, take this to your aunt. Take it to her.
No, I didn't even tell you the side story. So I think this was maybe like 2 years ago. My niece Ari came to us and she had a huge disc of it. So I have a smaller one, but she had like a huge disc of it, and she left it. When she left at the house. Like we were like, what's this? Like take a little piece off of it or whatever. But we gave it back to her when she came. But like you said, I didn't really know, like the benefits or know what it was. So I'm thinking it was just like, okay, that's some nice chocolate, like, so I didn't get it at first. But in terms of like, how it's a healing tool. So, what are some of that's one misconception I have, but what is some, how do you address some of the skepticism or other misconceptions that people have about cacao?
Yeah, it's so much, because also like, just to clarify with everybody, the disc, and it looks like a hockey puck. If it's small or a big hockey puck, it's thick. The one that she was talking about, her niece brought it. It's, so one, this cacao is super fresh, like it's super intentionally made. It's not, you ain't gonna find it with Nestle, you ain't gonna find it with Mars or Hershey's, none of these companies. Like it's super artisanal. And this is hence another big reason why I moved to Ecuador as well, because my access with the cacao project that I'm creating, it's right here. So it's not the same as store-bought chocolate. I want to say that it's not the same as store-bought. So when we share, it's really beneficial to drink dark chocolate, to drink this, it's not going to the store and melting chocolate from the candy aisle and drinking it. To be clear. And there's a lot of things too. And cacao is it's like the actual price of cacao now per pound is the highest it's ever been in the history of cacao, because there is an awakening happening to it. And when it comes to intentionally bought cacao, and we'll share resources later on how you can get your hands on some, get your heart on some. It's using it in a way where it's a supplement. It's not just a food. It's like you see it as part of your regimen as you're taking it. Like I drink cacao as well for gut health. I mix cacao and spirulina together, because it really fortifies the gut biome. It helps us with that.
Try that one.
Yeah, it's really fortifying. So a lot of misconceptions is that like, the sugar and stuff like that. You tasted the cacao that you have, there's zero sugar in it.
Right, it's not.
Zero sugar. Zero sugar. And another misconception, like people don't know that chocolate is from this. Like this is where chocolate comes from. It grows on a tree in a pod that looks like this. I've had it in the freezer to preserve it, because we're going to make some crafts out of it. But it's a whole pod with these beautiful colors, range from this color to greens to yellows. And the seeds, like normally I already eaten them, but it has like this white, delicious pulp around it. And you eat the pulp. So now the actual cacao, the chocolate, is made from the inside. So it's like purple. It's a purple seed on the inside. That's where all the flavonoids are inside of there. And so what they do is that they roast this. They roast it and put it through a tempering process where they heat it, cool it, and then churn it through this machine. And then this chocolate paste comes out, which then just dries naturally, sun dries. And that's what you have, that disc. But chocolate, literally, this is what chocolate is. It grows on a tree like this, attached on a stem to a tree and hangs down.
It's nature.
People, a lot of kids, when I present this to kids, they're like, wait, that's chocolate? Yeah.
Right. They're looking for the wrapper, right?
Yeah. So a lot of misconceptions of where it comes from and what it looks like. And a big part of my mission is to spread awareness about it, about how just like tobacco, just like coffee, chocolate, the cacao tree, Theobroma, has also been pillaged by consumerism. And we have to change that, because it's not meant, like, to be honest, we're not meant to have cacao. We're not meant to have tobacco. We're not meant to have coffee all year round. We aren't. It goes against nature. So my thing is about intentional usage with these sacred plant medicines.
Yep. Awesome. So, well, since we're on that topic, why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, your businesses and, like, how you work cacao in those businesses, everything that you do. So, just tell us.
Yeah. The project's coming soon. I'm actually working on it with Arletha's niece. She's helping me spread it throughout America and here Latin America, and also throughout the whole African diaspora. But my current baby project now is Unknown Intimacy, and it's all things encompassing. It's multimedia projects. We're currently filming a docuseries in the realms of intimacy with healers in the world, the natural world, and how we can invoke this inner leader, this inner healer within ourselves. And it's all things encompassing when it comes to modalities. Cacao specifically has been an integral part of every single part of the experiences, because of the aspect of how it opens us up to new possibilities and to new things. In Unknown Intimacy, I just had a client come a couple of weeks ago for a private retreat, and I took her to the farm where we got the cacao from, and she was just blown away by how natural it is. This is a whole nother thing with the business and the project. It's where this cacao grows, it's not monoculturing. It's not like one tree, one tree, one tree. It's an actual ecosystem. Here in the Amazon rainforest, they call it a chakra. That's what they call their farms, their fincas. They call them chakras. Yeah. Wow. And you'll find at least like between 8 and 16 different crops in each chakra. Wow. So now when the cacao is growing, there's going to be different flavors inside of the cacao. So if there is a passion fruit tree over there, the bees are pollinating that, and they're going to bring that to the cacao, so you get the flavor of the passion fruit. Bananas, soursop, whatever it is. So it's this whole biodiverse thing.
Yeah, nature's amazing. Yeah,
it's so cool. It's so cool. So Unknown Intimacy, it's about these experiences, because I never say I'm always in collaboration with Mother Earth. That is the root of Unknown Intimacy and my business. And I support people, whether it's one-on-one or in group courses, group coaching programs. It's to feel like you're a part of a chakra, a part of an ecosystem, a part of this whole symbiosis of what true healing is, because this is where our ancestors hail from. They hail from an environment that everybody was a part of the whole.
Yeah. Wow, that's just awesome. So I think that, we're going to open up the floor to any questions first. So, we'll have anybody can put their questions in the chat, and so while we're waiting for the question, maybe talk a little bit about the future of cacao in the wellness industry. And like, you started talking about it, but elaborate a little bit more, and how we can ensure its ethical and sustainable use.
Yeah, this is a great question. Something I'm really passionate about as well, because there's actually an epidemic happening right now. One, with the cacao trees in West Africa. Like, there's a lot of diseases that's hitting the trees and killing so many crops. Excuse me. And we can say a lot of reasons, and deep down in my heart, I feel it's a spiritual thing, because cacao, the spirit of the cacao tree, it doesn't want to be monocultured anymore. It doesn't want to be just defamed in that kind of way. So there's this equilibrium happening with the planet and these plants. So that's a whole nother conversation. But a big thing when it comes to practitioners and people wanting to incorporate cacao, even drinking it for yourself, it's important to know how harsh the reality is for a lot of people in the industry, specifically in West Africa. There's so much child labor in cacao, so much child labor, especially in Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana. And it's literally kids starting out like at 5, 6 years old, and they're staying on these monocultured farms until they're about 18. And a lot of times it happens is when corporations like the Nestle's, the Mars, these big ones, they hire local people to go into these local villages and tell the families, hey, we'll pay for your kids' school fees, we'll give you this, we'll give you all these promises, we'll give you all these things, so that we can just have your kid come work for us for the summer on these cacao farms. And the parents, of course, they might be struggling, and they're like, okay, we can do that. Like, give us some of the cash and you go work the kids for the summer, work with the kids. Those promises are never met. So those 2 months turn into 2 years, turn into 5 years, turn into 10 years. So now these parents also think that their kids are going to get an education as they're working these cacao fields. So by the time now they're 17, 18, they don't even know how to read. All they know how to do is wield a machete and take down cacao. So it's important to know about the shadow side of the cacao industry. Even though how good chocolate tastes, how good cacao tastes, to know what's really happening, it's these the issues with child labor. Like, people focus on the cobalt industry with our technology that we're using on this, which is, it's like we can't win them all, but it's like it's everything, you know. But cacao specifically, it's huge. So, and some kids are also trafficked into working the cacao fields, and then they're stuck there. So it's really challenging. So I feel when it comes to people wanting to incorporate cacao just in their own life, and the thing is too, you know, when cacao's calling you, like, Arletha, you had a dream. You know, it came from a dream. Some other people, it's by you tuning into this today, like, actually, I feel something. I want cacao to be a part of my life. So I say ethically and in integrity, the first step is to just become so consumed with the disposition of cacao, like what's going on, and the journey from the equator here in Ecuador all the way throughout the African diaspora, all the way back home. Like, we have to see the path of where it's been. So I say that's the biggest thing when it comes to people wanting to share it specifically, because we all have a responsibility to share these things when it comes to that.
That's right. That's right. That's good stuff. So we have a couple of questions. So I'll start in with the questions from our audience. So one is, can you talk a bit more about the connection between your work with cacao and your work as an intimacy expert? Do you bring your cacao knowledge into your work on reality TV?
I do. Specifically, season 3, I was doing a one-on-one workshop with one of the cast members named Nathan, and he literally got kicked out of the retreat. And so, of course, it's reality TV. And the thing is, it's not scripted, but it's highly edited by the production company. So I specifically requested that I get to work with Nathan for a little bit. And this was far beyond like, hey, I want to get you back in the retreat. I want to get you back working, like being with your girlfriend. It wasn't like that. It was actually for his life. I was like, I want to work with this dude. So they gave me a couple hours to work with him. So I made some cacao. He drank it. And then once it set in, we did some breath work for 35 minutes, just consistent breathing, 35 minutes through the mouth, out the mouth. And he had such a huge visceral reaction in a positive way, where he released so much emotions and all this stuff from his body. And then you can actually see it on camera in season 3, like how he was before, and then how he was, his demeanor with me after. He was so much more grounded and calm just because of that.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's amazing. Okay. Another question. So has cacao been recognized as beneficial for treating diabetes?
Cacao, yes. So the thing is with cacao, when we think about it again, remember, naturally, it does not have sugar in it, naturally. So it's actually very bitter in the health realm. As a fellow biohacking enthusiast myself, when it comes to health and slowing down the aging process, cacao itself, it really fortifies, like the flavonoids that I mentioned earlier, the flavonoids that are inside of cacao. It contains such a high dosage and quality of flavonoids that in studies now, and I'll share these sites and sources with you, it naturally triggers and produces stem cells within the body. So literally when the stem cells come out, like if you don't, when you work with stem cells come from our bone marrow. It comes from inside of our bone, and then it comes out. And it's this technology that our bodies have, that it goes to the places that need the support of stem cells within our bodies. So whether it's diabetes, whether I know people who have lupus as well and chronic arthritis, and of course, I'm sharing this not as a medical practitioner, professional, but just as an enthusiast. And just from what I read and researched, just want to put that disclaimer out there. They've shown that it's leveled out a lot of people's ailments when it comes to this. And it's purely because of the stem cell reproduction that's happening within the body. Anytime we have an influx of stem cells in our bodies, things just heal.
Yep, that's right. Awesome. Thank you. So another question, can you cook a food recipe? Like, can you cook with cacao?
Absolutely. I'm a big foodie. Y'all, any astrology buffs, I'm a Taurus moon, which means I just love decadence. I'm I'm Mr. Big Backs over here.
Right. Like, I'm gonna eat this food. So
I'm
yeah,
gonna eat
tell us
this
like,
food.
yeah,
Don't worry
yeah.
about it later. Yes, you can cook with this. So in Guatemala, when I was there learning about cacao, they also have it in Mexico too, and other places. Um, Mole is a big one. They
Mm-hmm.
make a lot of delicious chocolate sauces from that. And they put it on chicken and vegetables and other stuff, and it's delicious. One thing I will say though, when it comes to cacao and preparing it, whether it's for your own usage
Mm-hmm.
or it's for a cooking recipe, you don't want to overcook it.
Mm-hmm.
Think about cacao is like vegetables. We don't want to boil vegetables. We want to steam vegetables because when we boil them, we destroy all of the nutrition inside of it. So cacao is the same thing. So yes, you can cook with it. And I would say don't boil it. Like don't like ruin all the benefits unless your recipe just calls for heating it up really hot and then you don't care about the benefits. That's fine. But traditionally, if you want the benefits, don't overcook it.
Okay, good. Okay, a couple more questions. We're getting a few. So, is it beneficial topically for skincare?
Yes. Yes, cacao. Of course, genetics for sure for me, but I know for sure I've been drinking cacao consistently now for 10 years and for a decade. And I know for sure it has really fortified my skin, like the glow that I have when it comes to cacao. It literally it protects also against UV damage with the flavonoids within it. So, and anytime to anything, not just cacao, anything that fortifies our gut health is going to produce a healthy skin, regardless. So having it in your diet will literally support your skin health and also hair health too. Like my hair is doing really well. You know, I'm getting close to 40 and my hair is still going strong and I'm feeling like, all right.
Okay, that's good stuff. Let's see. Can you talk a little bit more? So, a little bit more information about cacao's use in spirituality and in rituals. Like, how is that done? How is it, without, I know, sharing, all the secrets, but, what does that look like?
Yeah, and I love this conversation too. And this is what I teach to practitioners. There's also a big misconception that the indigenous used to do cacao ceremonies. We hear that term a lot, cacao ceremony, cacao
Yeah.
ceremony.
Yeah.
It's actually a new age term.
Okay.
Indigenous never did cacao ceremonies. As I mentioned with the Highland Mayans when I worked with them, they would have their big fire ceremonies, like for the Mayan calendar and things, and tobacco ceremonies. And they might sip cacao just as a treat, but it was never the focal point of a ceremony. Like ayahuasca is a focal point of an ayahuasca ceremony, San Pedro, peyote, peyote, et cetera, et cetera. So the usage of cacao was never a ceremonial thing in indigenous cultures. It was an in addition to thing. But how we can use it within our culture and within our own personal practice is that with all the benefits, being aware of what I shared earlier about how it opens up our frontal lobe, it opens up our heart. It's an amazing in addition to tool for journaling, for meditation, for breath work. If you want to, with yoga, with nature walks, with anything you feel fit that really helps you feel closer to God and God in the way that you deem it to be. It's an in addition to things. So always though, like basis when I'm cutting up my cacao, like sometimes I'm just drinking it just for enjoyment, and other times I'm drinking it because I want to really bring something up from my heart because I'm having a tough time, I'm having a trouble passing through a thought or a pattern or something. So when I'm preparing that specific cacao in that cup, I'm praying into it, I'm singing into it, I'm blessing it, I'm cleansing it with tobacco, cleansing it with Palo Santo, I'm smudging it, doing all the things. So I make it more of an intentional thing. And then I create a space where I'm drinking it and I'm in silence. I'm purely working with the spirit. So it's about intentionality. But yeah, I just wanted to share that misconception because a lot of people think that cacao ceremonies were a thing. It was never a thing.
Yeah. I'm glad you you dispelled that rumor because that was a big one. So okay, let's see. Another question is: there's a lot of focus on mental health recently. Do you think cacao used on a widespread level could have a major impact?
Yeah, as one of my teachers would say, cacao is the food for the shift. He would always say that cacao is the food for the shift. And we see that we're constantly shifting now in the world. And yes, mental health wise, I feel any tool that enhances self-awareness will actually support any kind of mental health issues or challenges that are happening within the body and within the world. It's funny too. It's just a little tidbit. It's living in Ecuador. He's like a brother to me, a teacher, a friend. His name is Manadi Ushigwa, and he's a leader of an indigenous community from the jungle called the Sapara people. They're a nation here in Ecuador, a recognized nation. And for years, he's always been trying to get whoever was in president in Ecuador into the jungle just to come, not even to like say, hey, come drink ayahuasca. No, just come to the jungle. Every single politician denies his request. There's a deep subconscious thing that happens, and he speaks about it, that he knows and they know that their lives will be forever changed once they step into the jungle, even without taking plant medicine, just by being in the jungle. So I feel like anything, whether it's nature, whether it's tobacco, cacao, like anything like this would definitely support the world's mental health state.
Oh, so yes. Okay, let's see. One more question. The question is, were you exposed to cacao when you were an athlete? And if so, or if not, can you use it for recovery?
Yeah, no, I wasn't, unfortunately. Like I wish I was, because now I know the benefits of the vasodilation that happens with the blood flow into my muscles, into my mind, the clarity. I really wish that I was. But yes, you can use it for recovery for sure. And I would also use it for a pre-workout as well. Before you're going to go on your walk, before you go on your swim, before you go to lift weights, do it at least, drink it at least 30 minutes before. And what I recommend too is that it's if you're looking for also like something to add to your protein powder or glutamine or stuff like that, this is also another way that you can use it. And you don't only have to drink it too. So sometimes if I'm, let's say, stressed for time or something, I'll take pieces of the cacao or the little disc that you have. I'll take that with me to the gym. I'll cut it in half and I'll just chew it.
Okay.
Do it, make a paste, wash it down with water. And literally I feel like I feel amazing. So, and I also have the sickle cell trait. And the sickle cell trait within my body, it's not the same for everybody who has this trait. But when under extreme exhaustion, my body goes through these crazy cramps. I get crazy muscular cramps. And essentially my red blood cells, they're supposed to be a beautiful circle. They turn into a figure 8. So then it's hard to get oxygen into my cells. So then I start cramping, getting these contractions. I've noticed by having a cacao practice and drinking it weekly, it's literally supported the cramps within my body as well because of the vasodilation and the minerals.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So yeah, look, we keep learning something new every minute. So no, this is good stuff. Okay, good. Let's see. One more question I was trying to read. So chocolate has been colonized by Sweden and Belgium to a point they maintain a branding advantage in the chocolate industry. So they've largely ignored the cacao. Okay. Have they largely ignored the cacao product for lack of understanding, or was there some other reason why the cacao product has not been exploited as much?
Yeah, it has been like, well, first and foremost, the cacao product has been exploited like crazy. And just with the amazing stuff that the person who asked the question named, with Belgium, Sweden, Switzerland, like all these countries out there, they've all exploited it. And the thing is about when we see like anything with cacao related, like when we say like, oh, the best chocolates come from Switzerland, the best chocolates come from Belgium. And it's like, get the F out of here. Like, where is that growing? It's from Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll give it to you. Okay, maybe. And I spoke about this with Ariel, which is amazing. It's like, okay, maybe you have the best chocolatiers because one, you've had the resources and you weren't in survival mode. You weren't the ones growing the cacao. So you've had the time to be able to take cacao and make beautiful concoctions out of it, and make beautiful bars that people can eat. Okay, we get that. But the cacao still originates from Africa. And this is another thing too, where it's like any Pan-Africanist here, like we all are in a sense, it's the Jidena, the musician Jidena, the artist. He openly shares about cacao and how the exportation from Ghana and these places, how the governments are taking it back in a way. It's like, no, you're not going to get this cheap price anymore because you're taking our cacao beans that we're growing here and all this bloodshed, but then you're selling it for a premium price that we can't even afford.
That's right.
Most of the people who work the fields with cacao, they ain't never tasted a delicious cup of cacao. They ain't never tasted a delicious chocolate bar. They just eat the fruit and just that's it. So it's about empowering, I feel, and spreading awareness on where the cacao actually comes from. Latin America, Africa, and us standing to that and building projects around that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I have noticed, like being in the airport in Ghana and then in Costa Rica, even this past summer, I've noticed more cacao products there, so more, like nibs and, different things, face oils, all of the things. And even in Ghana, they have like their own, like branded, Ghana branded chocolate, different bars. They're made out of Ndinkra symbols and all those things. So I do see more of that, recently. So I think you had a story you're going to tell us, right, about Ghana.
Oh yeah, you're segueing in, and also another product too. This is honey made from the cacao, just
Oh,
from the cacao
wow.
fruit, which is like
Oh,
liquidy, but it's
yeah.
really taste it.
Okay.
So when speaking about it makes me happy that you're seeing at the airport specifically too, like Dinkra signed chocolate, like that's amazing. And
Yeah.
when I was in Ghana several years ago, your niece invited me there to go to the Akan Shrine with Nana Abbas.
Yeah.
And I remember I was there and we were doing the whole tour, like the tour of like, the dungeons, they call them castles with the dungeons and the coast. And the place that really struck me the most was the site of the last bath, the auction.
Aso Manso is the river.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it struck me so deeply. And one, because it still looks really untouched, like how it is, how raw it looks and real. And when I was there, I remember it was definitely going to be a somber time for sure, because all the feels for me of like, this is where our ancestors literally had their last bath, shaved their bodies before they were auctioned off and sent to the different places. The last time they seen their immediate family, for the most part, or the second last time it's in their immediate family. And I remember I took my shoes off as well. And I was like, no, I'm gonna walk this barefoot. Big mistake, because of course, as soon as I did, I got one of those big thorns in my foot. I was like, what are you doing, bro? You ain't got Manchester feet, you got New York feet. Like, you can't do that.
Right, exactly.
I was like, okay, and I was walking, and I remember like being in the river and then seeing like the two sides, how it forks. You see the two sides, and I'm like, wow, this is so beautiful, but also so somber. And then I start tearing. I'm like, damn, this place was literally the place of so much anguish and agony. And then I look up, and then I'm like, well, what is that? And I literally see one of these, and I'm like, wow, like a half, like a one cut with a machete, somebody eating it. And I'm like, okay. And so it's like a little boat now. So I take it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wow. And then I look up, I see cacao trees all around the site, and I'm like next to it, like behind it, I'm like, oh my God. Like if we're talking about spirituality, I'm like, what this tree Theobroma represents is community, longevity, peace, love. And it literally helps people heal their hearts, their esoteric hearts. And I'm like, this makes sense why it's here at this site. And all of my personal emotions started coming up, because for years, even though I was able to be with the Highland Mayans and being in Ecuador and Costa Rica, Mexico, studying with these traditions, still there's a part of me in my ego that I was like, okay, but this is still not me. Like I'm still not first, second, third generation Mayan or Mexican or nothing. So I was like, what's in my quest of who I am? I was like, who am I? And then I realized all of that, me going to all these Latin American countries, learning about cacao and this medicine, it literally led me back to where my ancestors came from. And in that moment, I was just like, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than what I thought it was. So a sense of belonging, I'm like, that's what it meant for me to literally learn about cacao and then see it at this site where our ancestors were. So that's where it changed everything for me. And then I took that cacao pod that I was holding, that I saw. The river, as you remember, it rushes down really strongly, down. I put the pod, no lie, I have a video of this too, and I can share with all of you. I put it literally in the water's going down. I put it in the water. It started going like this. It was floating all the way up the river.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a video of that. So yeah, that was one of the things that changed my life, that I knew that I was on the right path with learning about cacao. Because I was actually going to put it down for a while, like publicly. I was like, yeah, I'm not a Mayan dude. I'm not Incan. I'm not Karenki. I'm not none of these things. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I can't identify with something so full on that it's not a part of me. And then once I saw it there, I was like, I get it now.
That is so deep, man. Like just ancestral, they don't spirits, they don't play, do not play games. So, and like you said, the connection, just the power. That's like a really powerful story. Yeah, no, thank you for that. So, in the time remaining, is there anything else you would like to kind of share with our audience? I know we talked about so much today. Like I said, the time goes so fast. We really need more time. An hour is not enough, but it's a good introduction. So, anything else you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, just thank you all for just can't see nobody's faces, but just the energy and curiosity, and just know too, this talk is just the beginning for you, and we'll have resources where you can get your hands on some amazing cacao products and things, and also if you're ever feeling the call to come to the Amazon rainforest, I'll be happy to take you in. I lead groups.
I was just literally, that was the next question. So, like, how can we connect with you or learn more about your work and intimacy and your new projects? Yeah.
Instagram and Threads is where I do most of my sharing at the moment. So come find me there, my first and last name, as it's here on my name tag, Brenden Durell. Come find me there. Also, I'm in the midst about to launching my new website in the next week. So you can come also reach out to me there.
What's the name going to be? So we know where to look.
Brenden Durell as well. Through Brenden Durell. Anywhere on socials, it's always Brenden Durell. You can find me there. But yeah, it's a big thing too when it comes to also coming back to the source. Like the thing is, I spend so much time in the Amazon rainforest with communities and also asking questions too, based on culture, and also my questions from my ego, like let's say asking a maestro, a teacher, like, so what do you feel about Black people in the Amazon rainforest? And just being so direct is to see what is a part of their cosmovision. And I've received such beautiful feedback. And one of them notably was that one of my teachers said that Black people, Africans, used to be in the Amazon rainforest in settlements as well. And there was a time when they migrated and moved away. And he says they are a part of the fabric of the Amazon rainforest. And when he was speaking about that as well, we started speaking about just environmental stuff, about how the Sahara Desert literally supports the Amazon rainforest with the soot and the minerals. And if it wasn't for the Sahara Desert, we wouldn't have rain in the Amazon rainforest. It's the symbiosis that happens. So there's a connection. So I always say, like, when we say going back home to Ghana, it's also coming back home to the natural world, to these places. Because even in West Africa with Nigeria and Ghana, it's like when we look at like the ancient texts of our ancestors, they were talking about jungles and big lions and stuff. It's like that means that there used to be jungles there too. So anytime we have an opportunity to come to a jungle, I say you should take advantage of it.
That's right, absolutely. Like, so I've been to the Amazon in Brazil. I haven't been to Ecuador yet. Yeah, so I'm coming, but I've been to Brazil, and working with the shaman there, they were saying some of the same things, and they're like, it's really about spirit. So it's not that I'm African or African American, and I'm not like an indigenous person. It's really my spirit, and it's our spirits and our hearts, and that we want to learn and we want to be, in nature, and we want to grow. So, they told me, like, it's no problem. You come in, we'll take you even deeper, into the Amazon, and we'll teach you some things, because it's not only our legacy, it's also your legacy. So they explain that, it's the legacy of people who want to do good in the world, who want to use their heart, for healing and connection and all of those things. So I had the same experience, as you, but I'm coming to Ecuador. I'm coming. I'm very soon.
Anytime you want, guys. Yeah, just come. It's I love that they share the same thing. It's the same cosmovision, because like esoterically, yes, we were here and we've been here. And then also physically, like our ancestors as well, was like they were down here too, trading and mingling and stuff like that, spiritually and physically. What I'm saying? Like last year I did some work with Queen Diambi, the one of the remaining woman kings of Congo. And she was talking about the history of Congo going back to like 60,000 years and about like their voyages and stuff. And she was like, I remember her saying too, she goes, the reason why nobody knows about this too is because when we went to these places, we didn't have to steal anything. We didn't have to pillage anything.
Exactly. We just visited our friends. Exactly. Visiting our friends, exchanging and leave. We didn't have to colonize or steal anything. That's right. Right. Amazing. That is so amazing. But thank you so much. It's been so awesome, Brenden, like this time, just talking to you. It's just been amazing. And just thank you so much. And to our viewers, I just want to remind you about our African and African Diaspora Natural and Traditional Medicine Certificate Program. So the next cohort starts in January, payments due in December. We offer payment plans, making it accessible. We're also going back to Brazil on a natural medicine trip, December 6th through 14th. If you're interested in that, let us know. And thank you all for joining us today on Uncovering Hidden Healing. Be sure to tune in next Sunday for another fascinating conversation. Until then, stay curious, stay healthy, keep exploring the wonders of the natural world. And, goodbye for now. Enjoy your Sunday. Happy Sunday.